Oh, hi, world. I know that there's a lot going on right now. There's ISIS, there's Obamacare, there's, John McCain doing globalist bidding across the pond. But I just want to give you a little update about what's going on up here in Canada. So this weekend, Twitter blew up because one of our journalists for one of Canada's largest daily centrist papers, the Globe and Mail, well, she decided to use her column in the A section as a means for a confession about that time a couple years ago when she decided to, without consent, force breastfeed a politician's child. Translation for my America friends. Think about Lena Dunham in the New York Times writing about a dinner party with Paul Ryan's kid and her just taking off her shirt midway through. So I want to walk you through what that was like. So rewind, I'm here reading the Globe and Mail thinking this is just going to be another piece, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So first line, and context here, Michael Chong, the politician that she's talking about, he's currently running to try to head up Canada's federal Conservative Party. Here we go. First line. Watching the dispiriting moral fumbling match that passes for a Conservative Party leadership campaign this spring, I've often found myself reminded of the time I tried to breastfeed Michael Chong's baby. I read that about 4 times before I realized, oh no, she's actually not kidding. It gets worse. So she's talking about being at this dinner party. She's upstairs. She goes to the bathroom. Then she goes into the bedroom turned cloakroom. And this is what she says about finding the child in a small bassinet nearby. I leaned over and gingerly picked him up and then sat down in a chair to give him a cuddle. He felt gorgeous in my arms, all warm and lumpy and milky smelling in the way babies are. Somehow my pinky finger ended up in his mouth and I was astonished at the strength of his sucking reflex. "Come on, lady," said his eyes, and I suddenly knew what he wanted. And I, of course, wanted to give him what he wanted. The only problem was, I had no milk. But would it be so bad, I wondered, if I just for a minute, just to see what it feels like? I looked at the baby monitor as if it would be watching me, but thankfully, this was before monitors had cameras. Then slowly, carefully, so as not to jostle the infant, I began to unbutton my blouse. Just as I was reaching into my bra, a shortish man with a navy suit walked in the room. Hello," he said, in a friendly, upbeat tone that could only not entirely conceal the fact that he was flummoxed to see me sitting there with my top half unbuttoned holding his baby. "I see you've met my son. May I take him now?" So if you're not already totally freaked out and creeped out, let me tell you, every part of my body when I was reading that was rejecting this idea. I don't know about you, but me, this author, by the way, claims that she was 25 years old when this happened. Lies. According to a statement from Michael Chong, who confirmed it happened about 10 years ago, she was actually 32. Me being less than that age, I'm in my 20s, at no point in my entire life have I ever thought, you know what? This baby looks a little hungry. Maybe I'll just whip off my shirt and try to feed it, even though that's not biologically possible. So anyway, there's a lot here that ethically crosses the line as far as I'm concerned. If you try to basically put your breast inside a child's mouth without the parent's consent, no less. She's not a doula, right? This is not what she's paid to do. There are a lot of questions about what sort of thing that violates, but that's not what I'm going to get into here. I'll let Mr. and Mrs. Chong figure that out because God bless them. I don't know that this journalist would be really able to tell this story if ever that was my child that I found her with. What I want to say is this. Apart from being totally horrified by this story, what dawned on me was the fact that something else was equally as horrifying. And that's the fact that a mainstream media journalist really could think of nothing else to talk about despite the world climate right now. Despite all the different things that are happening right now, what she decided was in need of telling a story that the people needed to hear about was about this sick and bizarre, now confirmed encounter when she was 32 with an infant. So why am I venting right now? 2 observations. Number 1, that is that the mainstream media is completely and totally out of touch with what the people want to hear. And number 2 is this. Speaking of the mainstream media, after our Israel trip, we had a lot of folks come out and essentially chirp our comedian-in-chief, Gavin McInnes, for some comments that he said. And I'm just curious. I'm curious to know if they're going to hold the Globe and Mail to the exact same standard that they did with us. There were calls for Gavin McInnes to be kicked off our airwaves. There were comments that essentially insinuated that we were Nazis. So I'm just wondering if there will be similar comments about what this lady did, about her actions, and what sort of names will be affixed to her. I wonder if the Globe and Mail is going to be asked to see Miss Leah McLaren kicked off their editorial board, or as a journalist or commentator, whatever the heck position she now occupies. I work with a man here, and he's a new father, and his first reaction to reading this was, is she in jail right now? No. Miss McLaren just finished probably cashing her check from the Globe and Mail. And folks wonder why the mainstream media is barely able to hold on to their audience. For TheRebel.media, I'm Faith Goldy. You like venting about the mainstream media? Good news, so do we. Click below, like it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.